Good morning and Happy New Year, everyone. The 3rd of January 2022. Coming from you won't get to hear this very often, but a Houston that's freezing this morning. So that time of the year, a year ago we had that Arctic blast. So let's hope it's not that. But anyway, we have started off with futures all ringing higher. As a lot of people would have expected, you get that early January, the euphoria. We are off from the earlier highs, though, by about 10 handles, but we are still trading with a very high fair value of over 20. The currencies are pretty well listless. We have a series of more record highs back in Europe as it's opened up. France was the leader last year, and it started off again this year. A lot of markets are closed today, observing New Year's Day, and I guess we're wondering why aren't we? Does seem rather unusual, but you can a lot of Asia was shut overnight, um, and through the day. Let's just have a quick look here. But we had closes or market closes in China, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, and over this neck of the woods, it's going to still be a pretty thin day as people roll back into work. As far as US Treasuries are going, they're on track for a lower start to the new year. And the shorter tenors are expected to pace the early weakness. So we saw that last night, with a lot of the markets closed. And just a quick check on the yields. The 10-year is 1.54%. And the news overnight that's out there affecting stocks and bonds, the property developers in China are reportedly facing nearly 200 billion in total debt payments this month. There was a story that Evergrande was ordered to tear down a series of buildings. So obviously you're seeing the Chinese government more involved there, but it is obviously a severe situation. Gold is down a tad. Remember, it held 1800 towards the end of the year, so we're still we're just down a tad from that. Copper's down a tad. Oil was up, and as you can see, it's now down. So it was up by 40 cents, down 70 cents. All eyes there on the OPEC meeting this week. So that's the big news as far as that goes. The other thing affecting our stock market is Tesla released much better than expected deliveries data, and that's created a healthy bid too in the S&P futures and the Nasdaq futures. Don't forget, remember that was sold off in a massive recall last week, but it's pretty well obviously consolidating. Both VeriSign and AT&T are up after they were telling the FAA they will not delay their 5G rollout. And not too much else. Their ESCA is up on merger news, as is ARPA. But that Tesla being such a big part of the S&P is being up 7% is a big deal. Also in the electric car space, while we're on it, Li is up 3%, NIO is up 2.3%, and XPEV is up 2%. They're also up on those EV numbers. So a lot of EV buying in the actual buying of the cars in December. So that's a positive for that market, yeah. So let's move on to the real risk barometer is probably the gambling risk monitor, however you want to put it. The Bitcoin is trading at 47,2080, and that's well off that recent high just before we put most of our Christmas to bed at 52,000. And it did trade a little bit higher over the weekend, just under 48,000. Okay, let's look at these charts real quick. So here we are on, let me get over there for you. Here we are in the S&P. You can see on the hourly, we did trade up right to that breakdown point. Remember on Friday it broke down? Thursday, it just couldn't get over that 4,800 area on cash and not far under it on futures. We members down here, we're trading March futures now, and we have been for a while. That's correct. Yeah, so you can see we need to get over that. That's the breakdown level, plus all that 4,800 level as far as a spider and the SPX cash goes. And Apple, it's still just around 178 here in the pre-market, but 180 was its big level it couldn't get over. 182, 86 is that. You'll hear about that all week probably if that gets some legs. We put a bunch of reports were done over the whole, so check them out on the website about where all the major indices around the world. We cover most of the European ones individually, Australia, Asia, and of course the different ones in the S&P. The common thing is how dominant the mega stocks were in the US, but also in some of the other countries as well. If you go through those reports, they're all on the site there. So let's break this down into the 5-minute. You can see we opened up. So here's last night. We ran up nicely, and we've just been selling off since late night. Part of that will be obviously just risk taking, filling the gap, profit taking, and then analyzing the different news. The main news out there is Omicron. Yes, it is rampant throughout the world, but the big thing is hospitalizations are down. But there seems to be just, if you read through a lot of countries, not just the US, but all about testing. And you can see the S&P is coming down as we speak. And on a daily, we did get a green spug back. Will it hold it? Is this just a temporary sell-off at the open here? Apple, you can see pre-market, it's still just churning around this Cajun and tanking. This is a 4-hour chart we watch here. And it's really got to work its way up to that 50 there. But you can see it needs to get over that. You get that magnet of that little twist. These are a lot of thin volumes were last week, so these are distorted. Now just flip back here to the hourly. That's our channel, and that's what we're retesting. But we have been just gliding along this for, it looks like 3 days there. So we'll see how volume comes in. Remember, a lot of people are away. Now I wanted to show you the oil charts, because that was up. If you got up about an hour ago, everything was a lot greener. So look at our oil still on our daily. Nothing's new here. And these charts are all on our weekly report we do. And remember, we don't jump and change. You have a game plan and you look at it and you'll see the levels you need to watch. And so very consistently here, we've come right to that cloud and we've just been falling off. The tanker's coming up to meet it. And if you go to the hourly, it's more specific what's happened here. So you can see we worked our way up and we just fell out of bed here. So again, you would have had like that euphoric buying I was mentioning earlier overnight. Hey, new year, all bubbly, just like champagne, and we've sold off since then. The cork's hitting the floor. And let's look at our 5-minute. Remember, here's a little, when it's this thin and not much data, don't put all your weight on things like pivots and stuff, right? Especially 5 minutes. But here we are, in saying that, you can see we got through the pivot and we've just slid all the way down to S1. Significantly, we broke through this low, filled this gap right here, so it's a little bit of work. And now we're under this low. So these are now your new resistance. Your supports are going to be your Murray math lines and those levels I just showed you on daily. So natural gas is also coming back. It was higher with reports of much colder than expected weekend, and to today, like I said, it's freezing in Houston. That was expected, just a tad worse. You had natural gas prices were lower in Europe. Last time I looked, they were up. Again, that doesn't affect this other than psychologically. So you can see what's happened. This is your shorter term one, 10 minutes. So we came up last night and we've just sold off like everything else. We're back at this support. And you remember, we have all this failure. To get bullish, it's got to get over this tanking. Then you got that above it. As far as that goes, it's early year. You'll get the hedging on oil and gas put back on. You've got this, obviously, this big support line here, 167 area on this month. So that's pretty well it. Let's have a look at just a quick look here. There's nothing to see on currencies. As I said, market's pretty flat. We talked about yields at the top of the hour. And so on our profile, we have been steady here for quite a while. So for that to change, we have to break out this range. And you can see here, we've come all the way back to be barely up. We're just up 2 handles now after being up, I want to say about 20 handles. We're certainly up on fair value over 20. So we've just sold off all morning. And really it's just a continuing of the lack of buyers. The sentiment, there is bearish sentiment out there. It depends what you catch on, right? As I mentioned, China's a worry, Omicron's a worry, and that's a question of what's focused on. Well, take it easy on the first day of the year. Have your plan in place. We've seen quite a dramatic sell-off here. Apple's $1 off its automatic high, early morning high. I did say automatic, and I meant that because it seems to be automatically up whenever the S&P's up. But we have reversed quite handedly in the early going, and now we're at 8, so the pits are open in old school time in oil and gas. Welcome. Good luck in 2022. Make your choices and your moves pay off. Check out the website. Check out on our socials, Traders.com, and the YouTube, of course. Like and share if you find it useful.